Okay, so welcome to Escape the Rat Race Radio. Ian, how are you today?
Very well, Christian, and thanks for inviting me onto the show.
No problem at all. I know you're an avid listener, and it's been a while trying to arrange getting you on, but we're here now, so I'm excited to hear your story today. And would you mind just beginning by telling our listeners a little bit about what business you're in and what specifically that involves on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely, yes. I'm based in Southend-on-Sea in Essex, and I've got a family property business with my dad and my sister. It's called Estuary Living because we live in the Thames Estuary, and what we do is we create fantastic homes, and that's HMOs, serviced accommodation, developments. We do some flips as well. So that's in a nutshell what I do. I guess I'm a full-time property investor.
Okay, fantastic. So let's move into part one then, which is where you were. So Ian, can you tell our listeners where you used to work and what you used to do?
Absolutely. So I served 8 years in Essex Fire Service. So my boyhood dream was to become a firefighter, and obviously I applied everywhere in the UK when I became 30, and I said, look, I want to get in the service. That's really what I wanted to do. Essex I passed my exam with Essex, so obviously I stayed down in Essex and thought, right, you can do your basic training and move back to Scotland. That was my plan, but obviously I met my wife and had a daughter as well, and obviously got into Essex Fire Service. So when I joined up, Christian, I could retire at 50. Some of the listeners will probably agree and start to realise the story that I could retire at 50, and then obviously the government had to tinker with the pension, and I had to work till I was 55, and then ultimately I think I'd served 5 years by this point, and they said, look, you need to work till you're 60 now. So I had to pay in more, I had to work an extra 10 years, and I had to get less back. So although I was used to going to emergencies on a daily basis, I had my own emergency effectively, and that was realising that I wasn't going to be able to support myself or my family in retirement with the pension, the way that the ring fence some of the older chaps, and the younger people said, look, we can't, it's unsustainable and you're going to have to work longer. So effectively I sat down and devised a legacy and property plan to create a new pension, which was through property. So here I am now. I wrote a goal out actually on my fridge door. I wrote it in the future, 12 months in advance, to the chief fire officer, saying that I'd left the job, and 11 months later I left. And obviously in the fire service you worked shifts, so you had 4 days on and 4 days off. So I created, if you like, my own side hustle, which was removals. I started out with a kind of removal van to make my salary up, and here we are.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll rewind you a little bit back to when you were still at the fire service then, Ian, and what were some of the critical decisions that you had to make once you'd realised that you didn't want to continue going down that path? And I think it's a realisation that many of our listeners have probably had or are in the process of having right now. But then how do you actually decide what else you're going to do?
Great question. And I think it's obviously thinking ahead in the future and saying, well, what do I want my life to look like? I then started really kind of personal development and reading self-development books, started going to seminars, listening to podcasts and thinking, right, okay, how could I actually get myself, out of this environment? How would I do it? And set up a kind of plan. So I think if anyone's listening and thinking they're sitting in the fence and how do you do it, I think being clear and saying, right, setting a time frame, this is how I'm going to do it, and then working every day, just working smart, working in your time off, working at night, working at the weekends to make it happen. And effectively it can be done. There's many done it before, and obviously I'm living proof as well that if you set a goal and you want something bad enough, you can make it happen.
Yeah. So you mentioned there setting up the removal company. So obviously that was kind of that's almost a step two to where you are now, which is with your property business. So how did you actually go about starting a removal business? Did you have business experience before that, and was it an easy transition? How was it in that first year?
I never had any business experience, to quickly answer your question. Obviously, to give some context to the whole story, my fireman's salary, after all tax and pension contributions, I earned £400 a week. I live in the southeast of England, and that doesn't really get you very far. So I started, it's called a kind of side job or a second job. Most firemen had, and basically I got a van and I started doing what some listeners will know as a van and a man type service, where you get stuff delivered. That's how I started out. And then it was interesting, Christian, because I was watching an episode of Dragon's Den, and they had this firefighter on who designed this pair of running shoes, and they all wanted to invest in them. And they said, when are you going to leave your job and commit to this business? And he said, look, I'm not going to leave because it's guaranteed money and I get a pension. And they all backed out. And at the end, when he was getting feedback, they said, look, we want people that are committed. If you've got a job that's part-time, you can treat it like a hobby. And we want people that's committed. And I watched this and I thought to myself, do you know what? My van and van business was doing quite well. And I thought that I could scale it up. And obviously the pension was making me realise that I couldn't, it was unsustainable. So I just made the leap to, 12 months later. So I was doing the business, the van and man on the side. And then when I left the fire service, I scaled it up. But to go back to your point about did I have any business experience, the answer was no. I met at a networking event a business coach. I approached him and he helped us for the first kind of 8 weeks. And then after that, I got a better business coach, shall we say, and I worked with him for 6 years, and we scaled the business to, a decent number.
Yeah, that's a great story there about Dragon's Den, and it takes a catalyst, doesn't it? It takes something like that, perhaps, or unfortunately, in some circumstances, it takes something bad happening to be that catalyst for people to actually make a change. But that obviously was the turning point for you. And how long ago was that when you actually left the fire service now? Yeah.
So I left it in 2011. Okay. So I started 2004. And I had written a letter, obviously, to leave in 2012, and I managed to leave in November 2011. And then I made my then business a limited company in 2011. And obviously I grew that year on year. I basically, when my business coach came in, he said, look, what do you want your life to look like? What is it you want personally? And can it deliver it? And that still sticks in my mind now. So, when you start up any kind of business, you think, well, what is it that you want? And can it deliver it? And if it can't deliver it, then, why are you doing it? Obviously, the fire service wasn't going to deliver what I needed, hence how I left that. And then obviously I scaled up the business, and it was to run without us. It was to have a systemised enterprise commercially that made a profit, and I didn't have to be in it. That was the goal at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is so important, isn't it, to have the end in mind, because it's a trap that so many people fall into. They think that they can do their job better and they don't need their boss, and then they jump out and they become self-employed and they just end up working twice as long for half the amount of money, and the business just completely owns them. So, it's really crucial to see how to build a business that can operate without you. So tell us about this year, Ian. You have, I think, successfully exited that business now. Is that correct?
It is, yeah. So fantastic news that, again, after, I think I've got a 7 or 8 year shelf life and everything that I do. But no, seriously, I started the business to run without us. And because I read a great book actually called Built to Sell by John Warrillow. And basically what he said is, when the business runs without you, you do two things. You either sit back and take the profit, or you can sell it. So someone approached us in January, made us an offer, and the great news is, in the 1st of May, I sold my first ever business that I started from scratch. So delighted. It was a brilliant feeling.
Wow, so fully escaped the rat race there. Yeah. So
exactly. Yeah.
So what are three of the biggest realizations that you've had since transitioning from being an employee to becoming a business owner and entrepreneur?
That is a great question. I would say definitely education is one of the key ones. You need to get yourself educated, and you need to, embark in serious self-development. Obviously, I would say number two is, it's a lonely journey. And, if you can be part of a networking group or mentorship or have a mentor or work with people that, in a like-minded environment, definitely helps you. And when you start, don't be scared to kind of ask for help, because no one knows it all, and you kind of learn by making mistakes. And I would say number three is that you just need to keep going. I think ultimately, some of the challenges that you've got, so see, when you're committed to something and it's yours, the challenges that you face you need to deal with. But if you knew the challenges at the start, you probably wouldn't do it. So I would say resilience and obviously consistency. Just keep showing up every day, keep doing it, keep your eye on the vision, keep your eye on the dream and saying, this is why I'm doing this. And obviously you'll get the payoff and you'll get the reward. I mean, loads of businesses fail, I think the failure rate's like the kind of first 5 years. But I think if you get the right kind of education, the right mentorship and the right support, there's no reason why you shouldn't be successful.
Yeah, no, fantastic words there. And what's the one thing that you love most about being your own boss and owning your own business, Ian?
I think having the freedom to do what you want, when you want. Now, there's still things that you need to do as a business owner, but obviously to have the kind of choice to do stuff. So I'll just give you an example. If I may, my daughter is 5.5, and I'm very privileged to be able to take her to school, pick her up from school. A lot of the times when I go to school, it's only one parent that's there doing the pickup because the other parent's working. So I'm in a fortunate position that I can do that. And obviously, I love being an entrepreneur, and I love business as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. So moving into part three then, Ian, where you want to get to. So you now would you say full-time? I mean, full-time for yourself in the property business. This is your new passion that you're working on every day.
Yeah, well, it's a great point, because although I had the removals and it was systemised, I used to do week on, week off in that business. And in my week off, I realised that I couldn't sit around. I like to be doing stuff. So obviously I've been building the property stuff up as well. So in Southend, we've got circa 50 HMO rooms, which we've let out. They're all high end. We target the professional market. We've got serviced accommodation properties as well, and we target leisure and corporate bookings on that. And obviously the properties that we do up are to a very kind of high standard. I do like dressing them, staging them. I like speaking at events around the country about it, which is great. And obviously I've started my first book as well, actually, which I want to get out there. So
congratulations! Yeah, wow. Thank you. You're unstoppable, Ian. And do you feel like you've got greater potential now that you can achieve the bigger goals in life, now that you've got all this control over your own time?
I would say that you need to be disciplined. Firstly, it's easy to sit back and say, I think that I've heard some great sayings over the years, success is like rent, and the rent's due every single day. So you can't take your foot off the gas. I'm quite driven, actually, and I like to be doing stuff. I don't like to sit around. But I would say that what I've found, I've applied a lot of firefighter skills into my business. And then obviously I realised that I've got a real passion for business. I love business. And obviously going forward, I'll probably develop, other businesses now. I've got some property businesses. But whether I do training and, some other bits and pieces like business-wise, I think. But yeah, it's certainly I listen to a lot of podcasts, Christian. I read loads of books. I'm always into, self-development. I go to seminars and stuff like that. So I think the more you kind of develop yourself, the more you grow as an individual, and the more you actually need that challenge in your life to, keep yourself interested and don't get me wrong, my wealth dynamic is a creator. So I see loads of different things. My wife rolls her eyes sometimes when I come in and say, we're opening this for starting this up, and she says, right, okay. But to be fair, I've got loads of good opportunities, but it's trying to tap into the right thing. I don't know if you see quite a lot of people on social media, they've got loads of businesses, they're starting up loads of businesses. I think just focus on the one thing, get good at one thing.
Yeah.
And once you've got that nailed, move on to something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a previous guest on Escape the Rat Race Radio was the co-author of the book, The One Thing. That was Jay Papasan. So anyone listening now, definitely rewind back and check that episode out. So Ian, what's the one most important thing that you believe will help you to continue building your success over the next 12 months?
I would say network. It's a true saying, and it's probably cliched on the show. Loads of people have probably mentioned it, but your network is your net worth. So you need to be putting yourself out there. I've been talking to people at the minute who said, look, I've been watching you, what you've been doing for the kind of last 6 months, and then they kind of make an approach. So although you're posting stuff up on social media, it might not get much engagement. People are still out there looking. So if you're looking for a partner right now, or you're looking to joint venture with someone, or you're looking to start up a new business, there's people out there looking, waiting for you to come along and solve their problem. So I think for me, for the next 12 months, is just keep my social media profile up and keep giving out valuable content.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that will come back for sure. So final words then, Ian, for anyone listening right now, they're squashed up on a train, they're maybe stuck in that traffic jam on their way to work, and inside themselves they know that there's something bigger and better waiting for them ahead, but something's holding them back. Most likely it's fear. What would you like to say to them?
I'd say take a day or two off and just get a blank piece of paper. I know you've probably read this before or seen it somewhere before, but just actually write down what you want your life to look like. And obviously take some, no distractions, and just write everything down. Be totally clear in your mind. Obviously keeping your job right now, but if you want to sack your boss in the next 12 months, I'd write out a letter of resignation in the future, so you know that you can work your way back. So go out 12 months, work your way back, and then say, right, tomorrow, what am I going to do that's going to get me out of there? So do you need to read educational books? Do you need to go into Amazon and get the top 3 books in your subject? So if you want to become a better salesman, if you want to master speaking, go into Amazon, download the top 3 books on that subject and just start studying. So be crystal clear what you want to do. Then make a plan, work your way back, go out to the future 12 months' time. That's enough time to sack your boss. Try and set something else up whilst you're still working so that you can maybe get a bit of an income. You can obviously start a business online now quite easily. Get a little bit of an income, get a little bit of traction so that the business isn't cold. Or could you reduce your hours in your current job so you could put some more hours into what you want to do? That's what I would say.
Excellent words there. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today on Escape the Rat Race Radio, Ian. Good luck with the book. I look forward to getting a copy of that once it's all done.
No problem. Send you one.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks a lot.